Hi, my name is Chuck Vance and welcome to What's New. Today we're interviewing a gaming expert who goes by the name of Steve, a frequent visitor to Las Vegas. If you're ever planning on going to a casino, you're going to want to see this. Well, Steve, what can you tell me about the current conditions in Vegas?
Well, it should be obvious by now that casinos don't like to lose. In fact, they're very paranoid about anybody that can beat them. You know, Ben Affleck, the movie star, was just barred from Vegas for life, at least at the casino, because they caught him counting cards. So the casinos now were so paranoid that they've actually changed the rules of blackjack. They've made it so bad, even to the point of blackjack paying only 6 to 5 instead of 3 to 2 is what it should be. So it's an almost impossible game to beat.
So what should gamblers do? Continue to play against impossible odds or just give up?
Hell no, switch to a better game. Baccarat is now the best game in the house. It's got a low house percentage, and in just a moment, I'm going to reveal one of the greatest discoveries in casino gambling since the introduction of card counting in blackjack.
Well, you've certainly piqued my interest. I understand that you've done extensive research on Baccarat.
Yes, about 7 or 8 years ago, I was part of a research team that set out to find a way to beat Baccarat. But it was during the course of my research that I made a major discovery of my own. I found that there's a certain section of the shoe that is actually more predictable and can be beaten.
I've always heard that you can't overcome the house percentage and that it is not possible to beat a negative expectation casino game.
Well, that's what they thought years ago before the introduction of card counting, and what Thorpe and Revere did that changed the game of blackjack forever.
How?
Well, card counters were able to turn the odds in their favor by knowing when certain cards have left the deck, and when the deck was favorable to them, they could bet more, and when it was favorable to the house, they would bet less. Well, now we can do the same thing in Baccarat.
How? By counting cards?
No, we don't have to count cards. You see, based on my research, I found that before we even sit down, I know the section of the shoe that's going to be favorable to the player. And believe it or not, we've proven that there is a section of the shoe that can easily be beaten.
Do you have any research or data to back that up?
Absolutely. When I first discovered this, I was using a database of about 600 shoes. And I wondered if this was going to be just a short-term trend or would it hold up in the long run. Well, we got hold of a computer programmer who works for one of the most prestigious software companies in the world. And he programmed a bank of computers to shuffle and deal 8 decks of cards the same way it would be dealt in Vegas. Now he did this on 1 million shoes, not 1 million hands, 1 million shoes, and proved without a doubt that there is definitely that section of the shoe that can be beaten.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, to my knowledge, that's the most comprehensive study ever done on Baccarat. And you realize what this means. Just like in card counting in blackjack, we now know when the shoe is favorable to us and can take the proper methods and bet more.
So what do you call this system?
Well, first of all, this isn't a system. Like many of our viewers, I've bought a lot of worthless systems over the years. Most of them depended on some type of mathematical formula like Martingale or Baccarat that was supposed to beat the house percentage. To my knowledge, there is no betting method that can beat the house percentage. But this isn't a system. It doesn't depend on that. There are 3 things that differentiate this from being a system. First, we don't use a steep negative betting progression like a Martingale. And even though this will win just by flat betting, we do provide a simple betting method so that if your initial bet is 2 units, the largest bet you'll ever make is 3 units. Secondly, our method is based on the scientific discovery of the sweet spot of the shoe, proven in over 1 million shoes. This is not a fantasy. This is fact. And finally, we have a network of players who are constantly gathering important data on casinos around the world and online and sending it into our international data bank, which we call the Baccarat International Research Data, or the B.I.R.D for short. This has allowed us to identify certain biases we found in a number of casinos.
Tell me more about the B.I.R.D. Are you finding that there are differences in the outcomes from casino to casino?
Absolutely. Consider this. How valuable would it be to a player to know that at a specific casino, short runs are dominant, occurring 54% of the time, while in another casino, short runs occur only 36% of the time, meaning that there are a lot of long runs. Now, when you enter one of these casinos, you not only know the section of the shoe that is favorable to you, but you also know whether betting for or against short runs would give you even more of an advantage.
Wow, I see what you mean by being an advantage player. We're going to take a break and we'll be back with the last segment of this interview. What do you plan on covering in this next segment?
I'm going to tell you about my last trip to Vegas and how I used this material to score a very big win. In addition, I'm going to cover the B.I.R.D in more detail, as well as reveal another secret to winning. And I'm also going to tell you how you can get an invitation to become part of our B.I.R.D network. So check your emails in a few days to see the final segment of this interview.